Okay, this is gonna take some explaining. I love Super Smash Bros., but I've always had it out for the game's realism. Like, if my favourite Nintendo characters actually did fight on a flying platform, who would win? Now, I need to take a look at some of the most powerful characters in Smash to not only deduce who would win in a fight, but which character is the most realistic. We can rule out the mostly human characters like Snake and Mario, because they probably wouldn't win in a fight, and we can rule out the magical characters like Zelda and Palutena, because as good as I am, I can't make a real life substitute for magic. But there is one character that's not only powerful, but is grounded in real science, R.O.B. This is great, because, science is one of the few things that I actually can do. We can take a look at a lot of R.O.B's moves, for example his melee moves like jabs, his special moves and recovery, just to see how viable R.O.B would be going against a normal person in the real world like Mario or like Snake, despite their weaponry or pyrokinesis. The hardest move to quantify would probably be his up B, but we can try, and so with that, let's do some rocket science. R.O.B's up B is a rocket-like up thrust that propels him back to the stage. There's a pretty genius equation we can use here to solve this. That equation being y1 equals minus m over 2k natural log of t minus mg minus kv squared all over t minus mg. The first part we need is m, or R.O.B's mass, in the equation. While there's no official weight listed for R.O.B, his Smash Bros weight is 106. Bowser, who has a canonical weight of 300 kilograms, has a Smash weight of 135. R.O.B's weight is 79% of Bowser's by the listing, which means his weight is 237 kilograms or 552 pounds. G is also an easy solve, as its acceleration due to gravity, so 9.81 meters per second squared. Here's where things start to get tricky with y, the maximum height the rocket reaches. Now, I don't have a capture card for my Switch, so I took to the R.O.B character Discord to see if anyone had footage of his up B on the training mode max height. I was quickly informed that it goes higher than the training stage, and I was told to suck it. So with that in mind, I took to the training stage. We know that R.O.B's canonical height is 6.5 feet tall, the stage builder is about 170 squares tall, and R.O.B is 16 squares tall. But we'll make it 17 for simplicity. This means that the total stage is 200 meters tall, since R.O.B is about 2 meters. Now you may be saying, you said the up B goes higher than the training stage, and while I can't record it, I proved it didn't, so R.O.B character Discord, you can suck it, actually. Now I know the distance. To find V, I first need to find the time it takes for the rocket to reach its max height. By timing the up B, it takes about 4.45 seconds to reach the max height. Speed is distance over time, and we know the distance, so we can do 200 meters over 4.45 seconds to give a speed of 45 meters per second. K was the hardest to solve for because it's the combined air resistance acting on the rocket, so air density, drag, the cross-sectional area of the rocket, all divided by 2 and then multiplied by V squared. So air density. At IUPAC standard temperature and pressure, the dry air has a density of 1.2754 kilograms per meters cubed. I don't know what that means, but we'll take their word for it. Multiplied by the cross-sectional area of R.O.B, which, take my word for it, it's about 2 feet apex to apex. Multiplied by drag. To find drag, we need to do the velocity squared multiplied by the drag coefficient multiplied by the area. To find drag coefficient, we can assume R.O.B's head is somewhat similar in shape and weight to a brick, which has a drag coefficient of 1, so V squared, or 45 squared, multiplied by R.O.B's cross-sectional area of about 0.72 meters squared. That gives us a final drag force of 1,458 newtons, and we finally have our K. Now drag is important, because air acts like a fluid and creates friction against your rocket. This is why K is almost always on the bottom of a fraction, as it's a force acting against your vehicle. So now, we need to sub into the logarithm and rearrange to solve for T. Now, if I were to rearrange this, I'd probably get it wrong. So that's why I had an expert do it for me. If you want the steps, I'll put them up on screen now, but essentially it gives us a T value of 2,945,772.9 newtons of force. This is remarkably close to the real lift force of a rocket, so well done me for collecting such accurate data. This means that R.O.B could absolutely recover to any space within the Earth's atmosphere, so R.O.B's up B is viable and also realistic. So what we need to find here is what being hit by a laser would feel like for the other fighters. Rob's laser is most likely made of plasma, which is made of superheated gas. The way the beam is formed when fully charged makes me think that the laser is a PEP, or pulse energy projectile. Essentially, it creates an infrared pulse that creates a rapidly expanding plasma. This is shown in the beam's shape, as at the start of the beam, it's almost ball-shaped. A PEP essentially causes a burning sensation, and is similar to Rob's laser as it doesn't crater or burn anything it ricochets off of. So the laser gets a tick for realism as well. Finally, we need to take a look at some of Rob's melee moves, most importantly, his side B, where he spins around multiple times and smacks the opponent with each spin. This is going to be focused less on realism and more on damage, since it's completely plausible that this could happen. For this, we need to calculate the centripetal acceleration. Centripetal acceleration is the acceleration of a spinning circle to the center of the circle, but it's okay because we only need it for our force equation that's going to come later. Our equation for this is A equals velocity squared over radius. Now we need to find the max outstretched radius of Rob's arm. To spare you the photo editing, we can assume Rob's arm span is around 1.5 times his height, or around 9 and a bit feet. So halving that, we get the radius. Now we need to find the speed he spins. Since this video is going to be kind of long, and we'll probably need a second part, so I'll cut out some of the maths. It goes to 28.6 miles per hour, or approximately 47 kilometers per hour. That's kind of slow, but let's see the results for the total first afterwards. So plugging into our equation, we get 246 kilometers per hour squared, or around 70 meters per second squared, as our centripetal acceleration. So now we need the mass of his arms. Now, Rob is made of an extremely strong material, but it's probably not steel, since being hit by cannonballs and swords during the game doesn't cause Rob to bend or malform at all. So it's likely he's made out of a denser material like titanium. The density of titanium is 4.45 grams per cubic centimeters. The volume of Rob's fists, or his weird little claw grabber things, is about 1,000 centimeters cubed. So calculating the mass, we get a mass of around 4 kilos. So finally, plugging it into our equation, we get a total force of 280 newtons. But we have to remember, this is for one hit. But when Rob spins around, he hits the opponent around 5 times, so the total force exerted on the opponent is 1,400 newtons. That's still not a lot. It would barely be enough to break a bone. Knowing all of this, in the next episode we'll endeavour to calculate how much power a beast like this would take, but for now, what's the moral of the story? The moral is that if Rob existed, we'd all probably die, and robots are cool, so I don't need a reason to like the fact that he can shoot lasers. That's just cool.